Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ryan A. Polendey of BS Psychology 1B, and this is my report together with my partner Jeremy Portugal. And for today, we will be talking about constructivism theory of art. To begin with, we will take a look at the background of constructivism. Constructivism was founded in the year 1915 by Alexander Rodchenko and Vladimir Tatlin. However, it has also been stated that constructivism was founded not only by Rodchenko and Tatlin but with 25 other artists as well, with the inclusion of Noam Gabo, Laszlo Moholy-Nagy, and others. Constructivism originated in Russia after World War One and have served as the art of a young Soviet Union. Constructivism was founded with its principles derived from three main movements that evolved out in the early part of the 20th century, namely suprematism, futurism, and cubism. Constructivism was believed to have been active and prominent during 1915 to 1934, although it might have served as the art of the young Soviet Union, but it has ended as it was a victim of the Bolsheviks regime's increasing hostility to avant-garde art. As stated and can be seen from the chart, constructivism was at its peak during the 1920s. And now let us move on to the definition of constructivism. Constructivism, as defined by the early or the first working group of constructivists, was the combination of facutra and tectonica. Facutra is the term coined for the material properties of an object, while tectonica, on the other hand, refers to the spatial presence of the objects. However, later constructivists have come up with a new and more simple definition befitting this theory. They have defined constructivism as designs for two-dimensional works, such as books or posters. Moving on, constructivism was aimed to reflect modern industrial society and urban space. So, technically speaking, constructivism was more than that of a showcase or display of development, evolution, and even a projection of the future, simply designed in a form of art. Constructivism was the last and most influential modern art movement to flourish in Russia in the 20th century. With that, constructivism can be viewed as more acceptable and even more seen as an art rather than suprematism, Russian futurism, and Rayonism, which were all from Russia as well. Constructivists proposed to replace art's traditional concern with composition, with a focus on construction, wherein objects were to be created not in order to express beauty, but to carry out a fundamental analysis of the materials. So, contrary to the stereotypical definition of art, which is the medium to which artists express or channel out their thoughts, emotions, feelings, opinions, etc., constructivism focuses more on the artist's knowledge and mastery on using the materials that they have. In here, art is not the product nor the process, but the materials themselves. Constructivism art might lead to the invention and design of one fully functional object. As is stated, constructivism uses art not just an expression of beauty, but also an analysis of the materials. Thus, constructivism art is more on producing highly or even merely functional objects. So, constructivism does not include painting, drawing, or whatever art pieces using a flat surface. Constructivism art is aimed to demonstrate how mediums or materials behave, meaning it is not with the artistry or the firmness and imagination of the artist which the art depends, but on the way the materials would appear upon usage to produce an art. The form an artwork would take will be dictated by the materials. Constructivism is an entirely new approach to making objects, wherein traditional artistic concern will be abolished and be replaced with construction. So, in constructivism, art is no longer intended for expressions but on use. This art theory focuses more on constructing artistic pieces of objects that are of big help and use in their physical form. And now we move on to some key artists which made use of constructivism art during their time. First on the list, of course, is Vladimir Tatlin. Vladimir Tatlin was one of the major founders of constructivism. Hence, he was often hailed as the father of constructivism. He has used this particular form of art on one of his most famous works, the Monument to the Third International, which he created on 1919 to 1920. Not only did his works show an entirely new approach on making arts, but it has also bluntly stated his desire to abolish the traditionally representational function of art and put it to a new one, which he believed was more practical ones. So, the picture beside is a representation of Tatlin's monument to the Third International, and it is not just an ordinary art. It was designed especially to hold meetings, having its different geometrical units their own uses. The cube was meant to be used yearly as a venue for lectures and conferences. The pyramid, on the other hand, will be utilized monthly for bureaucracy and executive activities. The cylinder will be used daily as an information center and host a newspaper. And of course, the cone, which is mostly used scaling on hourly as a radio station. So, in this piece, we can already see that art, in constructivist view, is not merely an expression and representation, but a way to design practical and objects of use. Next on the list is Alexander Rodchenko. Rodchenko was a Russian artist, and he was with Tatlin as a major founder of constructivism. His most notable work was the Spatial Construction Number 12 during the circa 1920, and below is the representation of it. And of course, L. Lissitzky. While Lissitzky was more on the function of artists as catalyst for change, he was an important figure on constructivism as he was the one responsible on exporting this idea to Germany, wherein more and more artists get to experience and implore the idea of constructivism to their works. And now we move on to constructivism architecture. Constructivism architecture was more on meeting the demands of social and industrial tasks. However, unlike the plainness of Tatlin's works, constructivism architecture made use of advanced technology and engineering on creating certain artworks. This was used for the purpose intended for the benefit of social communists, the ideology that is most prominent in Russia, constructivism's country of origin. Stated here are the examples of finished products with the incorporation of constructivism architecture. So we have Van Nel Factory in Rotterdam by Lindert van der Vlot and Mart Sam in 1927 to 1931. We also have here the Lovell Beach House in Newport Beach by Cubby Rudolph Schindler in 1926. And of course the Narkomtiaz phone by Vezin Brothers on 1934. And now to sum it all up, let us take a look at the constructivism legacy. Constructivism has died out in Russia on 1934. However, thanks to Lissitzky's exportation of the idea to the West, constructivism has endured up to the 1950s. By the year 1980, it resurfaced thanks to Neville Brody, a graphic designer who used constructivist-based styles, and of course, to Ian Anderson, who founded the Designers Republic, a company that make use of constructivist principles. Stated here are the references which you may use if you want to traverse through the vastness of the topic about constructivism. And that's it for our presentation. I hope you like it. Thank you and have a nice day.